Still on Syria, the rebel groups are claiming that they've cut a vital ISIS supply line from the Turkish border down into IS territory, Daesh territory in Syria. There seems to be a lot of different groups making advances in various parts against IS, and they may be beginning to collapse. Is there a concern that if obviously you want to defeat Daesh, but is there a concern that Assad and the Russians might get to Raqqa before you, and is that would that be a bad thing?
Well, a couple of thoughts on that. One is, as you correctly note, part of the sorry, I'm grasping for the word, but one of the results of the cessation of hostilities is that these groups, many of them have now are able to focus on taking the fight to Daesh. And we've seen the same thing, as you said, on the part of the regime forces, who certainly made advances on around Palmyra. This is, I think, part and parcel of what we've seen in Iraq as well, which is that Daesh is under increasing pressure from all sides and from different components and different groups, different governments. I mean, it is somewhat of a rare thing to have the kind of unity of purpose that everyone recognizes how evil Daesh is, how destructive it is to the region and to the world, that you have such, as I said, a unity of purpose to go out and destroy and defeat Daesh on the ground. As to those gains made by the regime with support of obviously Russian forces, we certainly looked at the liberation of Palmyra as a good thing. That city has suffered tremendously under ISIL, not only the people of Palmyra, of course, but also the destruction of, a vast amount of its antiquities. But we also made clear at the time that it's a bit of it's a difficult thing for people to be liberated from Daesh only to fall under the rule of a regime that has brutalized its own people. So it's hardly a win-win situation, to be perfectly candid. In terms of who might get to Raqqa first, or who might liberate to Raqqa, or might liberate Raqqa first, we just don't. We're not there yet. There's still a lot of hard fighting and by all parties involved that lies ahead. We're going to continue our pressure, working with the coalition, working with the various groups that we're working with on the ground in Syria as well as in Iraq, to continue to squeeze Daesh as much as possible. Please.
Yesterday, working with the Russians and the regime.
Well, we have, we have talked about that, and we have in fact said if Russia does want to play a constructive role in taking the fight against Daesh, that we would be willing to have that conversation. I know that. Well, I mean, I know that, and this was part of the conversation that they did have, in fact, in Moscow when the secretary was there. Again, it is at the same time as we appreciate as I said, any relief that can come to the Syrian people who've been brutalized by ISIL. We're not convinced that the regime offers the ultimate solution. What the ultimate solution to the situation in Syria is a transitional government rather, that is supported by all of the Syrian people.
Yesterday,
yes, sir.
This is